scratched on your neck? Huh? Is that it? Where's your spot? Where's your spot? Alright? You're not gonna eat the shoelaces. That's not allowed. He's obsessed with my shoes. He has to chill out.
All right, I think we're ready. Hey, we're here this week. Susie's actually traveling, so she won't be with us today, but we have Tara and Mario. Oh, and Ben.
How can you miss them?
Giving a little update about Finn.
Hi everybody. So as most people probably know, we've rescued quite a few cattle recently, but we didn't want you guys to forget about Finn, who we rescued back in January. And we were the team that went to go get him. So Susie thought while she was traveling, we could tell you the story of how Finn made his way to Farm Sanctuary.
By the way, this is Sven. He's trying to get some camera time. But Finn is over there.
Yeah, Finn's not quite as outgoing as Ben. So for people who don't know, Finn was rescued back in January from New Britain, Connecticut. And it was a little bit of a long road to get him here. He escaped from a trailer after being purchased at an auction, most likely to be slaughtered. The person who purchased him was moving him from the trailer to his garage when Finn ran. And he ran off into the woods and they didn't see him again. And then just before the new year, I think it was, people started to have Finn sightings on their doorbell cams, or someone would see Finn in the woods while they were walking their dogs early in the morning. He made his way over to the watershed property in New Britain and gained some media attention as a loose steer in the woods. Howard's not cooperating, being really sassy. So anyways, he got the attention of lots of people, some who wanted to recapture him and send him to his fate at a slaughterhouse, and then people like us who wanted him to live his life out at Sanctuary. So he gained the attention of the Mayor Stewart, and Paula Pawlowski, who is the chairwoman of the, I'm gonna get it wrong now, the commission, the Animal Welfare Commission, and then also Jennifer Wynn, who is one of Farm Sanctuary's really amazing supporters. And so this team of people plus some others, got together, made sure that he was fed, made sure he has water. You have to remember it was freezing cold in Connecticut at this time. So they were hauling water out to the watershed and then reached out to us knowing what we had done in the past with situations like Bonnie, who was in the woods, to see if we could help capture Finn and bring him to safety. And so after lots of discussion and setting up trail cams and trying to sort of track where he was and figure out where to set up a feeding station, the three of us went out and met up with Paula and Jennifer and also Matt Peters, who was there to document the whole thing. And we set out to get Finn.
Yeah, it was kind of cool the way it went down, you know. Everybody they did a lot of networking to get us out there. Originally we were just going to go out there to scout it out. And
get some stuff set up,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, so we the three of us went out, kind of assessed the situation. Ben, the day before, went out there. He got our trailer all set up. We overdid it, so to speak. You know, we weren't sure what we were in for, so we kind of just loaded. Well, Ben, by himself, pretty much loaded, a lot of gates and just everything that we need. T-posts, post pounders, things like that. Short foot. We had heard that it was super icy out there. Which was really fun when we got out there. Yeah. So, the day before we had good staff here at the farm. Everybody grouped together. We got the plan. We got everything loaded. We headed out. I want to say we hit the road probably 7 o'clock in the morning. And it was about a 6-hour drive, I would think, right?
Something like that.
So when we got out there, I know we had a time limit of when we had to be off the watershed's property. It didn't work out because when we got there, everything was a sheet of ice. It was literally like an inch thick of ice.
Over snow.
Yeah, over snow. It was like, 5 inches of snow underneath us. So literally, we had to hard step just to get to where we were going. We had to break through the ice. And you're talking about a leg workout. you want to get a leg workout, that's what you need to do. But just to even get to the location, we have a 26-foot trailer. So we had to first get up a hill. Once we got up the hill...
What you're forgetting about the hill is just nothing. It was one of those rescues where it looked very bleak and then just everything fell into place, which was incredible because Mario had to get the trailer up onto a levee, so he had to back it up on a sheet of ice onto a very narrow levee, which was impossible with the ice. Yeah. And there were just so many people rooting for Finn and wanting Finn to end up at Farm Sanctuary that within minutes Paula had contacted the mayor, and all of a sudden there was someone out there with like really heavy equipment, just like moving all of the snow and ice, moving rock, making a path for us to get up. So it's one of those rescues, and a lot of them end up being like this, where we couldn't have done it without all the people who are already there just wanting this to happen so badly.
Village, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, so Mario somehow got the trailer up on the levee. We sort of formulated a plan off of what worked for Bonnie. Every individual is different, every rescue is different, but Bonnie was one that was loose in the woods, and we had to set up a corral and a feeding station. And for people who were around watching these feeds when we rescued Bonnie, that took 3 attempts. Correct. So we went into this sort of thinking, we'll set something up and we'll see what happens. So we're in there, they let us stay past the time that they were supposed to let us stay.
Which we needed.
So we were working in the dark with the gas-powered post pounder, which sounds like a jackhammer. I'm thinking we've scared Finn off into the next county, setting up this feeding station.
But he kept hanging.
All of a sudden, Mario points, and Finn is walking towards us on the levee. So for a second, it looked like maybe we were going to get him. We all sort of like jumped out of the pen thinking he's going to come in and maybe we can get him. And he watched us for a while. He was, curious, maybe a little nervous, but not overly scared. And then he walked away. Yeah. And the watershed was right behind like people's houses. So we started to be told like it would be best if we left and came back in the morning. Yeah. So we all left, and then through just like, whether it's, I don't know, fate, just coincidence, who knows. We left so quickly that we didn't, do maybe everything we would have done if we had been able to take our time leaving. Plus it was dark.
Sitting there with headlamps.
Yep. So at about 11 o'clock at night, I had this moment of panic that we needed to go check on something. I called Mario. I was like, "Don't be mad at me, but we have to go back." We let Ben sleep, so he ended up missing all the action. So we go back, we get there at midnight, and we're sort of joking around, like, what if he's in the pen? How funny would that be?
Yeah.
And then, what do you know, but he's in the pen, and somehow Mario was able to do this, like, crazy slide down a sheet of ice to, like, silently...
I call it a swap move.
Yeah, silently get down this hill and run over to close the gate to get him in, and he fin swooped a little bit, he ran on the trailer, he ran off. For a second it looked like he might try to jump out.
Yeah.
We were able to get him to calm down, and then Mario made a sound and he walked calmly on the trailer.
We'll talk about Tara's gazelle move.
I did a gazelle
She did a
move
gazelle
over a
move
gate.
over a gate, closed the
Closed
door.
it in, and then he was calm. You know, Bonnie, we had to drug to get her.
Right.
And then other animals that we've rescued who are scared will sometimes then panic on the trailer.
Yeah.
He didn't. Like, it really seemed like he was just ready to go.
It's almost like you would have thought that he would be nervous about a trailer because of, I guess, his last experience on a trailer was going right in a bad situation. So it was kind of amazing that it was almost like he saved himself. You know, we set him up, and he decided to go, and he used that trailer as security, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, and we were just fortunate that we had to get back there at night.
Everything, So then it was funny. I'm calling, Jennifer and people who were involved, and they're all sleeping, being like, "Hey, guess what? We got him."
Yeah, it was cool.
So I think
shed some tears. Come on, don't.
We cried a little bit.
You know?
We cried a little bit. We knew before we went to get him that there were other people. It was the same thing with Bonnie. Like, other people looking for him who didn't have his best intention at heart, and so, they weren't going to have any more success catching him than they already had, because they didn't know what they were doing necessarily.
Now he's in a trailer.
But now he's stuck in a trailer, and so we had some serious anxiety about just leaving him, even with a padlock, leaving him on a trailer. If he freaked out or if somebody showed up, we're worriers. So,
without a doubt.
Mario took one for the team, and he slept in the truck that night in like frigid temperatures to watch and make sure that Finn was safe. And then we told Ben the news in the morning. We went and we broke everything down. We brought him straight to Cornell. First he made a very quick stop at a vet in Connecticut because legally he needed to be seen by a vet, and unfortunately he needed an ear tag to cross state lines. So he made a quick stop at the vet. We got him to Cornell, got him offloaded. That's when Ben took over.
That's right, because
it was.
I mean, I was totally exhausted,
roads.
as everybody was. I think we did about 39 hours. And I always, when I tell the story, I say I had like one bag of chips and an energy drink. That's what kept me alive for a while, So I definitely was appreciative to have Ben there, because he drove us through some icy conditions. I mean, he could speak about that, because that was tough.
Yeah, they were on the way home. It was pretty bad. It was pretty cold still. Rain was coming down. Roads were icy, really bad. It was a really slow trip home, but we wanted to make sure we got back safe. We wanted to make sure he was able to get to Cornell to get the checkout that he needed, and we wanted to make sure that we got home safe as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
we're really lucky to have a team. I'm not part of it. A team of people who are so highly skilled with the trailer, and not only have that skill, but then also just like so badly just want for everything to be okay for the animals that they're transporting, and so every decision they make is based on what's best for the animals. So we were weighing at every moment that we needed to, if we needed to just stop. But we were able to get to Cornell safely. He ended up being pretty healthy. And then he got to come back here, which was the most exciting part. And, we never, especially when they spend the first chunk of time at Cornell, we didn't really know him that well. So the cool thing about Finn was Finn sort of decided where he was going to live. We knew he'd live in this barn with one of our special needs herds. And we initially thought he might be a good friend for Falco and Bellamy and Michelle, for anyone who knows them. And so we offloaded him in the trailer, and we had the one herd closed in one pen and the other herd over here, and we sort of saw who was interested in him and who he wanted to be with. And the young boys in here just he was so interested in seeing them, so we let him in, and they did their little rough housing that was just playful and not mean at all. And now he's really one of the crew. So he hangs with Sven, Howard, Milton, Alexander Beans. He also Milton's freaking out in there. And then he'll spend some time with some of the older ladies. He was spending some time with Grayson, who's one of our older cows who unfortunately passed away recently. But he's really made himself a home, and he seems super happy. He's not like Sven yet, where you can just like scratch him all the time, but you can get some little like nose boobs. He'll come over and see it. He loves his grain. Oh, hi. So that's the story of Finn.
Yeah, I just want to add, it's, like I said, it takes a village, and just the way everybody pulls together, it was just, again, we teared up, you go out there and
Sobbed.
we do what we do, you get exhausted, mistakes can happen, but I think everybody, even Matt was out there helping, Paula, Jennifer, everybody was out there grabbing gates, grabbing T-posts, chaining things up, just, we couldn't have done it ourselves. Even with the town people coming in with the heavy equipment, I just think it was meant to be, I always say fate, right? Because it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's just, again, we teared up. It is what it is, right? It's because what we do. So, and now look at him. He's hanging over there in the group. So, he's chilling with the crew. Right?
How long do you think he survived on his own? How was he able to survive on his own before we got to him?
So for part of that time, there wasn't snow on the ground. So I'm sure he was eating any like leftover grass, weeds, things like that. He was on the loose for I think it was over a month that he was loose. And so we felt the need, and I think Jennifer and Paula especially felt the need to sort of fast track things, even though we didn't necessarily feel totally ready, because they did start to get that really terrible weather. There was snow. So that's when they started feeding hay. And so once the snow hit, he was getting a lot more support from other people in terms of bringing hay out, bringing water out, but sometimes the water was freezing right away. So we really felt sense of urgency to at least, it's hard to coordinate these things if you're not there. Like, even if people send the best pictures, videos, it's hard if you're not there to understand. Like, I'm sure when a video of his rescue comes out, the hill that we had to go up is going to look like not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
it was
when you're
crazy.
there,
It was crazy, and there was like a cliff on the other side and a stream.
I think we had about, 12 inches on each side of the tires.
Yeah.
It was pretty sketch.
So we figured at the very least we would go out and see what's going on, get something set up, get him in some sort of routine of going into a certain pen to eat. But then that scouting, setting up mission turned into the rescue, which was great.
Yeah. I really think that he knew what was going on, especially at night when he was watching us set up and not getting spooked.
Yeah, that was really
that was
crazy.
cool.
With the truck running, the lights,
Everything going.
Yeah.
Yep.
T-post pounder going.
Yeah.
So much noise and
saved
racket.
himself.
Yeah.
We were just there to help, a little something. So I think he's good.
Yeah.
Do we know what kind of cow Finn is, or what breed he is?
He could be a cross, but we think he's got some Simmental in him. I think he looks like a guinea pig.
He's got
Little
that
guinea
face.
pig face.
He's got that face.
And that behavior that he was doing just a few minutes ago, where they were butting heads, does that mean that they are friends? Is that friendly behavior, or is that kind of aggressive behavior?
They were being playful. Yeah. They're buddies.
Now he's laying down.
Yeah.
And does he have a best friend here?
I don't know if he might, but if I had to pick, I don't know if I could pick one best friend. I really picture him to be part of like the whole crew of the young people. So I see him with Milton a lot. I see him with Alexander Beans, and I see him with Howard. And then Sven is also part of that group. And it's great. They're going to grow up together. They're all sort of around the same age, so that'll be nice.
We have several questions about the big guy here.
Sam?
So, yeah, if you could maybe just tell people who he is briefly, I think that would make everyone happy.
Yeah, so this is Sam. Sam's awesome. Sam's an older gentleman who hasn't been here super long. I want to say maybe maybe a year. He came from another sanctuary that was unfortunately closing. And it was a sanctuary where we had placed a calf years and years ago who was now an adult. And that calf is Sprout, who's over there. So Sprout lived with Sam and Grayson, and there was just no scenario where we were gonna go and be like, we're taking Sprout back, because we take back any animal we place. We're never gonna let them end up in a bad situation, so our adoption agreement is that they always have to come back to us or we find placement for them. But, you know, we weren't gonna be like, sorry, Sprout is ours, we're taking him, and whatever you have to do with the other two, do, because they were a herd. So they all came here together.
Is that Sprout with Milton?
Yep. And Milton just, he's very sweet, but he's just a little bit too rambunctious for the live feed, so he's getting some love from Sprout while he's over there.
And how long did it take for us to be able to touch Finn, like when he came back, or for him to start to warm up to
You know, it didn't take that long. Even on the trailer, you know, nobody went on the trailer with him to try to touch him, because that's a pretty dangerous position to be in if you can't get away from him. So we had to be really careful when we went on the trailer with the vet, you know, using gates and things to keep ourselves safe. But before we brought him to the vet that morning, Jennifer and Paula came and they hadn't seen him yet. And they were like, I mean, there were so many people involved, but Jennifer and Paula were like the people. Like the people who were not going to rest until Finn was here. You know, Jennifer's like canceling like vacations, and they're like, you know, doing all these things, missing meetings, rearranging their whole lives to make sure that Finn had his happy ending. And they came over to see him just through the grates of the trailer, and Finn came over and let Jennifer touch his nose. And so, I mean, it was instant. So it was almost like he knew that those were his people. And of course, then there were more tears. But when he came back from Cornell, I want to say it was maybe that first day, people were able to like touch his nose. Sometimes you can get a scratch in. So he warmed up pretty quickly.
And we have a question about Carlton.
Okay.
So does he have a friend yet?
So Carlton's over in the main herd, and I'm sure the person asking has known that he's like bounced around a little bit. I see him hanging out with Wesley. I see him with Gary sometimes. He seems more settled than when he was in the main herd the last time, when he was really hanging by himself. So, yeah, we'll see how he does.
You try to move closer to them, maybe. If any more questions, please.
Can you talk about how these guys do in cold weather?
Yeah, so the cattle of all of the animals that we have on the farm, maybe the cattle and like the waterfowl, seem to do the best. Lots of like cattle experts will say that their ideal temperature is like 40. So they, as ruminants, they just have to have access to lots of hay and be constantly eating and ruminating to keep themselves warm. But they do really well. They always, unless we're cleaning their barn, they always have access to the barn. And sometimes they'll choose to be outside in the snow versus inside. And then we're really careful. We had a spell where it was like -20 wind chill. Like then we're keeping them inside and keeping them out of the wind, because that's just like, nobody thrives in that. But for the most part, they do really well. Better than extreme heat, I think.
Who's Finn with right now?
Alexander Beans, who's another runner, but he's like instead of running into the woods, he ran through a town. But similar escaping stories where it was in the process of offloading him into a garage. You shouldn't put cows in your garage.
Yeah.
Got anything else? Okay. All right, I guess if that's, I mean, unless you got something else to say.
We just want to thank everyone who supports the farm, without a doubt. You know, we couldn't do it without everybody out there. You know, it's just, it's great to know that you guys are out there supporting us. I don't know what else to say other than thank you.
I'll end with a shot of Jen over here. Buddy?